Hi and welcome to my vlog on skills versus capacities, focusing on speed and agility. The first drill I'll be looking at is bounding. This drill aims to increase speed by increasing stride length, improving high knee drive and power output. As we observe this first athlete performing this drill, we notice that he lacks both skill and capacity. However, as we look through this analysis, I believe that it's actually more of a capacity issue. However, it's always challenging to separate these two as a cause or an effect. This athlete shows many limitations during this drill. I will focus on the key ones and discuss whether I believe they are more of a capacity or a skill related issue. We see here that the athlete has a good high knee drive, right fractionally more than left. He also seems to be more explosive when taking off of his left leg. I'll explore whether this is a cause or effect of the discrepancy between the knee drives later. He also seems to gain height rather than distance whilst doing this bounding drill. To ascertain whether there was a capacity limitation between right and left legs, I got the athlete to perform a single leg hop for distance and a triple single leg hop for distance. During this time I also took a history. 2 right grade 2 ankle sprains would likely have a bearing on his capacity on his right leg. This discrepancy between sides leads me to believe that there is more of a capacity issue as opposed to a skill issue with this athlete, as I believe that without an increase in this athlete's capacity, there is unlikely to be an improvement in the quality of movement shown during the bounding drill. To address this lack of capacity, a comprehensive single leg strength and plyometric program would be implemented. This would increase cross-sectional area, power and rate of force development. By retesting 6 to 8 weeks later, we would be able to assess if the training plan had been successful or not. This would be shown with a more even single leg hop and triple hop test. Following this, a period of skill development would be much more successful. Although this athlete does obviously show skill limitations with this drill, I conclude that due to his lack of symmetry between sides, his history of ankle sprains and his reduction in plyometric output, that this is in fact a capacity limitation. In contrast, the athlete 2 shows good symmetry with each of his bounds, even having never completed this drill before. He achieves a good forward distance with this drill. However, he seems to lack the high knee drive that is required to eccentrically load the hip extensors, to develop maximal downforce in the contralateral leg, and create neural impact on the support limb. As shown on this still, there is, like athlete 1, an asymmetry between right and left legs. This time, however, it is the hip flexion angle that has a marked difference. I wanted to rule out a capacity limitation, and after ruling out any mobility problems at the hip with a full child's pose and a straight leg raise, I again assessed him dynamically with a single and double leg hop test. He also achieves asymmetrical hop tests, but is not consistent with whether it is his right or left leg which is better. His single leg hop is better on his left, but triple hop is better on his right. These limitations start to give the impression that this is mainly a skills issue. To confirm this, the athlete was cued to drive his knee forwards and drive his knee up quickly alongside video playback. This improved his technique and hip flexion by at least 7 degrees. I therefore conclude that this athlete's skill in this drill is limiting his ability. For the second part of this vlog, I'll be using the Agility T-test. This was used due to its validity and ease of use. Athlete 1 accelerates and decelerates well over the first 10 meters. However, the lateral shuffle could be improved as his feet come very close together, almost crossing regularly. He also doesn't get his center of mass low enough to be efficient, leading to not enough knee bend to aggressively push off. In turn, this leads to a poor lateral shuffle as a loss of balance and quickness occurs. Feet crossing during a lateral shuffle will be considered poor technique due to an increased difficulty in being able to change direction quickly with feet crossed. The initial push-up from the left leg is good and well controlled with a low centre of mass. When this athlete shuffles back, pushing off his left leg, his foot is externally rotated, leading to a less efficient and powerful push-off. As he pushes off his right leg, his right foot slips on the damp surface, so it's difficult to professionally analyse this. Again, as he shuffles back to the middle cone, his driving leg is in a less than optimal position. As he transfers into the back pedal, his centre of mass is too high, with a less efficient change of direction than the previous cutting manoeuvre, suggesting that force endurance is a potential problem with this athlete. These limitations, his history as a goalkeeper and therefore familiarity with these sorts of drills, and the knowledge from the previous analysis make me consider this athlete's capacity to perform this drill. I therefore assessed his lateral shuffle, his lateral lunge and lateral jump. With the pure lateral shuffle, he starts with his right foot externally rotated and a high centre of mass, and his feet still coming very close together. As before, his left leg has more power and control than his right. Looking at this athlete's lateral lunge also shows up similar discrepancies, with an increase in difficulty lunging onto his right leg, shown with facial expressions and external rotation of the right foot, and potential tightness in the right adductors, shown as a bend in the right knee when lunging left. He also flexes through his lumbar spine when stepping onto that side. Assessing his lumbar posture in 4-point kneeling shows that he was unable to maintain neutral after 90 degrees of hip flexion, dropping into a posterior tilt. His straight leg rows shows reduction in hamstring length, right more than length. This lack of mobility through his lumbar spine and hamstrings is likely why we are seeing some of the limitations with this drill. The lateral jump also shows that the left leg is consistently more powerful than the right, as the athlete travels further to his right hand side as the drill continues. These derivative exercises would make up the vast majority of this athlete's training program, alongside mobility exercises such as the cat stretch to improve lumbar extension, and hamstring flexibility work would also improve this athlete's quality of movement. Athlete 2's T-test shows good acceleration, although his deceleration veers off to his left, therefore not cutting as laterally as possible. This turns it into more of a running round a curve as opposed to a cut. Although this athlete is quick across the ground, he crosses his feet on every lateral shuffle. As discussed earlier, this leads to a potential decrease in stability, and in fact this athlete looks unbalanced throughout this whole drill. This athlete is a forward in football and has never completed a drill like this before. His unfamiliarity with the drill, as well as his previous assessment and training history, gives me the impression that this is a potential skill limitation as opposed to capacity. After reviewing the video with the athlete and explaining where his limitations lay and why these were important to address to improve performance, we went into the gym to practice the lateral shuffle. You can see the lack of skill with this performer, as his lateral cut off his left leg is inconsistent. Sometimes he takes a half step before driving off, other times this is not as apparent. This was discussed and verbal cues such as push the ground away from you were implemented. This seemed to improve consistency. The final modification to this drill was to add a reach down to the cone to emphasise the cut. This was shown to improve his lateral shuffle, cut and consistency. However, there was still an occurrence of crossing of feet on the last traverse across the gym. We then recorded him outside again, and in comparison to the first drill, where he regularly crossed his feet, he was slower but seemed more stable during the drill and was more powerful with his change of direction. In summary, I conclude that this athlete has the capacity to complete this drill by improving his skill with practice, he will be able to improve his time also. To summarise, the athlete with capacity limitations will improve by addressing the asymmetries between his legs using single leg plyometric drills in both the frontal and sagittal planes, as well as mobility and flexibility exercises for his hamstrings and lumbar spine. The skill-limited athlete improved with different types of cueing, both intrinsic and extrinsic, as well as video feedback, and with practice, this improvement will increase. Thank you for watching.